one to speak will be Daniella, so I'm going to give her the microphone, and I'm going to take my microphone over there to the table. Test. Okay, now I'm on. Daniella will give a 3-minute introduction.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much to concerned citizens of Cutler Bay, Steve Zarecki, your president, and all of the wonderful members of this community who've shown up to listen to this very important debate tonight. I am honored to stand before you. This is my first time running for office. I have 30 years of experience fighting for children, families, neighborhoods, small businesses, seniors, here in Miami-Dade County with a particular emphasis in South Dade. I have worked tirelessly to help people obtain health insurance and health care with the support of Baptist. I've worked to help children to get the educational benefits that they need to thrive. I've worked after Hurricane Andrew to help children displaced by the storm to resettle their lives and help their foster parents and their biological parents to recover from that storm. Our government is in trouble. We live in the greatest country in the world, but we've lost our faith in our democracy. My whole career has been focused on strengthening our democracy. And so now I am proud to be able to take my 30 years of service in this community to a higher level, to serve as your voice in county government, to prove that our county is not for sale to the highest bidder. I've been an advocate my whole life for people, communities, economic opportunity, fairness, and I've heard from so many people in this community that they don't believe they have a voice in county government. Your needs have been overlooked, from transportation to jobs, spiraling insurance costs, lack of safe streets and parks. As your commissioner, I will stand with you and not with the lobbyists who try to buy our democracy. I will stand with our working families to honor the dignity of your work and the struggles as you try to provide for your family's needs. I'll stand with our cities to work in partnership with cities like Cutler Bay, that has received such distinction as the top 7th city in the state for growth, and with huge property value growth, tax value growth, because of the wonderful policies here in Cutler Bay. I'll stand with our small businesses to cut the red tape and to streamline processes to get the investments that you need to grow your businesses and build our economy. And I'll stand with our public employees to thank you for your service and not tear down the democratic organizations that exist to speak for you. Finally, I'll stand before you as your leader to honor your needs and to help you fulfill your dreams for a stronger democracy, a stronger community, a stronger future. Thank you so much for your consideration.
Good evening. Thank you, concerned citizens of Cutler Bay, and thank you, Steve Zarecki. Really appreciate the invitation here tonight. You know, as I listen to my opponent, it's very interesting because I look around and I'm so proud to be right here in the town of Cutler Bay, and what a great relationship I've had with the town of Cutler Bay over the past 4 years. I have stayed true to the commitment of District 8 families by delivering on creating jobs, keeping taxes low, and bringing true and meaningful reform to Miami-Dade County, County Hall by building stronger communities. I've been an advocate of the taxpayer. I've been an advocate of 2.6 million people, not just the 280,000 people who reside in District 8. I've worked on jobs, and I passed a local preference ordinance. In conjunction with the Beacon Council, created MiamiDadeSites.com to assist in businesses and helping other businesses relocate to Miami-Dade County, a free service provided by Beacon Council with my assistance and sponsorship. work on bringing Bimini Superfast to Miami-Dade County, which brought in over $70 million of revenue to Miami-Dade County. I have established a pattern of work days where every single month, and actually it's a whole lot more than every month now because other businesses are seeing the work days going on, so they're calling the office to please come and have a work day there. So I've done many work days all over Miami-Dade County, actually all over District 8 work days, whether I'm cleaning animals at a pet shelter or trying to flip pizza or whatever the business asks me to do, weighing packages at a UPS store, just to get to know the feel of that particular small business and what small businesses go through on a day-to-day process. I brought real reform to County Hall. I brought term limits to County Hall. Decades and decades of attempting to get term limits, and I sponsored it. Commissioner Sosa and I were the co-prime sponsors and spearheaded this and brought term limits for the first time in decades to County Hall, and I'm very proud of that accomplishment. True ethics reform, true lobby reform. As a matter of fact, it just passed in first reading where I'm trying to extend the lobby ban for county employees and county government politicians like myself, the ban from 2 years to 4 years, and that passed in first reading, so I'm very excited about that. Building stronger communities. I passed a puppy mill prevention ordinance that I'm very excited about. Nothing like this in the entire state of Florida, and most likely the entire country. We're actually trying to change how we do business in Miami-Dade County when it comes to our animals, when it comes to our puppies, and ban the sale of puppies that come from puppy mills. Jury parking. Up until I was sitting there, if you got jury duty, you got charged for jury parking and you had to pay it. When I found that out, I thought that was unconscionable. So now, guess what? Nobody pays jury parking anymore, and you can even use that for Metro Rail Station as well. I also brought 2 affordable housing complexes to the district and returned services to South Dade right here in Cutler Bay. Thank you.
Lost my microphone, but I've got a loud voice. We're now going to enter the section of the forum where the candidates ask questions of each other. First, Daniella has 3 minutes. Wait a minute. 1 minute to ask a question of Lynda.
Thank you so very much for this opportunity. Commissioner Bell, you claim you focused on doing more for small businesses and our South Dade residents. However, what I hear businesses need the most is a permitting and inspection center in South Dade, similar to the one in West Dade. Why have you not accomplished this for our community, and yet you were quick to move your own office away from the South Dade Government Center?
Lynda will have 3 minutes to answer.
Thank you. First of all, I actually have sponsored legislation, and it's in the mayor's office, to bring a one-stop shop or a one-stop center to the South Dade community, and we haven't heard back from the mayor's office yet, but I did that, so thank you for reminding me to mention that to this community. So yes, I am working on that. Just like the one-stop shop that I did in the South Dade Justice Center right now, where all services were taken away, I brought those services back, and to date, in less than 4 years, we've seen approximately 25,000 people that have come through those doors at the South Dade Government Center. As far as moving my office, you know, this is a very big district. And by the way, at the last debate, Daniella said that I moved my office out of South Dade into Palmetto Bay. Well, I know you're new to the district, but Palmetto Bay is part of South Dade as well. And so it was very reasonable that I did bring my office to Palmetto Bay. It is the logistical center of my district. My district goes from Homestead, literally all the way up to Debonair and the crossings and very far. So I wanted to make sure that my district would be accessible. My office would be accessible to all people, that it wouldn't just be accessible to those that are in the far south, the Homestead, the Rancho, Leisure City community. I wanted to make sure that anybody and everybody can get to my office, whether you needed to come to the office. And part of that reason is I divide my time, and because I treat this job as a full-time job. This is my job. So I take it very, very seriously. So I'm in my office. So I have district meetings. And let me tell you what happens when you're in South Dade Government Center. 5 o'clock, you got to go. Well, guess what? We do constituent late night hours, so we get to stay open. Guess what would happen if you were in the South Dade Government Center? You had to pay extra for the security guard. Oh, and by the way, that's not free. I know that was stated earlier. The taxpayers are paying for that building too. In fact, we're paid per square foot for that building as well. No such thing as a free lunch. Basic law of macroeconomics. So the bottom line is more accessible, to be part of the people, to let people come in my doors and have accessibility. That was very, very important to me. Thank you.
Daniella will have 2 minutes to review. 2 minutes.
Well, I'm glad you clarified that the Palmetto Bay office is the logistical center, because when we looked at the map, it was not the geographical center. But more to the point, the office did cost $250,000 for the refurbishment, the refurnishing, and the rent on that office. And in these economic times, $250,000 is something that we can well use for other community needs. Another thing is that Palmetto Bay office is difficult to reach for many of the seniors, particularly here in Cutler Bay. The circulator service, which was initiated during the time when Commissioner Sorensen was in office and is an excellent service, doesn't go to that office. It does go to the South Dade Government Center. So that contributes to difficulties in accessing your office. And furthermore, right now, you have a constituent service evening once a month, I understand, but I've heard from so many constituents as I go door to door the difficulty in getting services and response from your office. So I think that having an office that's more accessible would contribute to their being able to obtain better service from your office. But finally, the Permitting and Inspection Center is something that was brought up 4 years ago, and I wonder, it took a very long time to bring that matter forward to the mayor's office. I've spoken to business leaders who've tried to get their businesses off the ground, to expand. They've had very little advocacy for their needs. It's taking forever for permitting officials to come from downtown. They're rescheduling for subsequent days, and one business, for example, thought they would take 4 months to move, and it's 2 years, and they've still not been able to get their business up and running. And having an office, a full-service office, obviously would go a very long way.
Ms. Bell will have 1 minute to ask a question of Ms. Levine Cava.
Thank you. I'd like to rebut that, but I'm sure I'll squeeze that in somehow. I've lived in my district for 35 years. And I'll say from the downtown Miami office building on Biscayne that I've been serving the community in South Dade. I live here. I live here and I serve my community for 35 years. I've been in government for 11 years. I'd like to ask Ms. Levine, now Levine Cava, why she didn't run where she lives. If you're so compelled to run for office, you bloom where you're planted. Thank you.
Ms. Levine Cava will have 3 minutes to answer.
Thank you. I ran where I live, in Palmetto Bay. I'm very honored to be running in this district. South Dade is a unique treasure in Miami-Dade. It's really our last frontier. There's tremendous opportunity here, and there's also lack of attention. So it's an area that is really pivotal to the future of our county for all of us. There's huge needs here, public transit needs, economic development needs, open space needs, how to preserve and protect that open space for the future enjoyment of all Miami-Dade County residents. Truly, this is the area that I'm honored to hope to represent. And the reason that I'm running in this office is because I've been asked to run by so many people who feel that the current representation is not adequate to advocate for their needs, that there's more attention to big business than there is to community needs. I'm an advocate and a community organizer. That's what I've done all my life. And when people approach me, and so many groups have approached me, individuals as well as groups, it's become really a coalition of people working together to find a way to have the needs of South Dade represented that's closer to the people. We're running a grassroots campaign. We're addressing the issues of people in their neighborhoods, and I will be running, an open government with a participatory budgeting process and an effort where everybody will be in communication, not just during election season, but throughout the 4 years of my tenure. I'm looking forward to my 90-day transition period. I've been talking to people extensively about what can I do to move forward quickly, to have everything I need in place to have the best possible tenure as a county commissioner, and that's the way I'll transition, and that's the way I'll run my office as county commissioner. Close to the people, close to the needs, always responsive, and that's why I'm running here in South Dade.
Thank you. I cannot believe that South Dade was just called the last frontier. I cannot believe it. This is a sophisticated community with wonderful people who are intelligent and articulate. It's not a frontier. It's not the last frontier. Lack of attention. Every time my opponent says that, she insults my former colleague, Commissioner Sorensen, and she insults Commissioner Moss. I've only been here 4 years, and I can tell you the differences I've made because I just read a bunch of them. But Katie Sorensen was here for 16 years, and Commissioner Moss has been here for 20. So every time she opens up her mouth and says that, she doesn't really insult me, she insults them. Tremendously. And I'm going to tell you, when I talk to the people, when I go door to door, I get a thank you, Commissioner Bell, because guess what? My office, we called you and you actually answered us. You actually answered our emails. One guy just told me last night, in fact, I meant to print this one email. He said he sent an email to all the commissioners and I was the commissioner who actually responded to him. And I really, really appreciated that. And I try to keep some of the emails. I didn't bring it with me because I get responses all the time from how responsive my office is. And I'm happy about that. The economic development needs, well, that's interesting because I've been working really, really well and beautifully with the Economic Development Council of South Dade, and I keep hearing comments about the EDC. So I have a letter from Dr. James Thomas, MBA, DBA, the immediate past chair of the Economic Development Council of South Dade, absolutely thanking me for my efforts and my work within the EDC of South Dade. And he says, as a result of Commissioner Bell's invaluable assistance and direct cooperation, he absolutely commends me and thanks me and supports me for my re-election bid. There's the proof that's in the pudding. You know, not just during election season. I think that's interesting since I never saw you in my life until an election season. Thank you.
One issue that I continue to hear about from our homeowners is the issue of homeowners insurance and citizens insurance and the pain that our residents are continuing to feel as the rates go up. It's clear that Tallahassee is continuing to pass on the pain to our residents with no solutions in sight. I'm curious to know, why have you not weighed in on this issue on behalf of our residents? And as Commissioner, I know I would.
Great question, because I have. As a matter of fact, I've worked with many of the members of the State House, our state representatives, state senators, and State House, and I've talked about it. And that's one of the reasons why you have so many alternatives now just to citizens, because they are opening up to other insurance companies. And so, to say, and I'm glad you recognize that it's a state issue, not a county issue. And I have been an advocate, and I have been working with different members. But let me tell you something else. There was also something else that was going to happen this year that was going to affect everybody very, very drastically. Who here knows that everyone's flood insurance was going to skyrocket? Right? Well, I serve on National Association of Counties and Florida Association of Counties. So it's not just that I serve in the county as a commissioner, but I also serve on committees for the betterment of the entire county. I received a recognition and award for my work in keeping the flood insurance down. And I was praised by NACO, National Association of Counties, because I serve on committees that fought to keep flood insurance down, and there was a bill passed in Congress that kept the rates low because of my advocacy and because of my work on behalf of all of the residents of Miami-Dade County, not just because of the residents of District 8. I'm proud of my accomplishments of working not only on the insurance within the state of Florida, and our state representatives do recognize that, but also within the National Flood Insurance Program. Thank you.
As an attorney, I know the power that the Office of the County Government Affairs Office has. And there's so much that that office can do to address the pain and the needs of Miami-Dade County residents. And too often, that office is focused on issues that have to do with the county government itself, rather than the broader issues of community concern. As an example, Medicaid expansion. This is a travesty in our state that we have not taken advantage of the federal dollars available for 800,000 people who would be eligible for health insurance today, but for Florida's failure to take advantage of that. And the county Office of Government Affairs has not taken aggressive moves to advocate for that, nor adequate aggressive moves to deal with the issue of insurance, because insurance rates are continuing to go up. So I would be the kind of commissioner that would always be focusing on the needs of our residents and using the resources of our county government, including our Government Affairs Office, to push hard to help address the pains, needs of our residents. Of our residents, and because that's what I've done all my life. I've worked so hard to build the middle class, to lift people from lower wages to higher wages, to help them to get the benefits that they need so that they can take care of their family members. That's what I did with my nonprofit for 18 years. I served up to 5,000 people per year through Catalyst Miami, formerly Human Services Coalition, in South Dade and countywide. And the work that I would do as county commissioner is to keep those needs at the forefront and use the resources of our county government fully to address them and improve the quality of life for all our residents.
Thank you. Recognizing that we have such a wonderful, diverse community, representative of all different nationalities, I found it interesting, and I would like to ask Ms. Cava, Mrs. Levine Cava, of all the years and all the documentation that I was looking at, and that we've been looking at, and never one time in your entire career I ever saw Cava. It was always Levine. On everything with Catalyst, on everything with Human Services Coalition, when you spoke in public, you signed as Levine. Everything I've ever seen was Levine until you decided to run for office. And I think I'm asking a question and making a statement that obviously we have a majority of Hispanics in District 8. Was that not just a cheap ploy to get the Hispanic vote?
Yes. Well, I've been married for over 31 years to my wonderful husband, Rob Cava. There he is. Thank you so much for giving me your name. And when I went to get the marriage license 31 years ago, I was in a dilemma. What should I do with my name, as so many working women are? And I asked the clerk, what should I do? I'm really not sure. And she said, well, you know, you can really have it both ways. You can take the legal name, Levine Cava, and you can continue to use Levine for everyday purposes as you choose. And that's basically what I've done. I do go by Cava, Levine Cava, on my mortgage, on my passport, on many of my legal documents, as well as when I'm with my husband's family and people who know me through him. I had my professional career in Miami-Dade before I was married, and for convenience and continuity, I continued to use Levine for many of those professional purposes. By the way, I'm very proud of the fact that my husband's family hails from originally Italy. It's an Italian name via Turkey, and then many of the family, they were refugees from the Second World War, made their way to Cuba and eventually to Latin America, Argentina and Uruguay. So I've been so privileged to have the opportunity to live biculturally. Our children are both bilingual. We live a bilingual life, and my husband was very pleased that I finally decided to honor him officially with the registration for election by choosing to go to finally step fully into that name, and I'm never going back.
have a 2-minute rebuttal.
Thank you. Well, congratulations. After 31 years of marriage, now you're going to stick with it. You're going to stay with Levine Cava. So I think that's awesome. You know, bell in Spanish is campana, so I guess I could be Lynda Bell Campana. By the way, let me get this right. So as an independent, strong leader, businesswoman, you listened to somebody who gave you your marriage license, who said, oh, but you can have it both ways, or you can do this, oh, but you don't have to do. I mean, there are so many people who have You can have hyphenated names. People do it all the time. My girlfriend was a councilwoman in Homestead, and she got married, and she submitted all the documents to change her name. And I said, you can have Lobos Canty, or you can have just Canty, but you can change your name. And she was doing it, and it didn't take 31 years. It just took 3, actually 2. So I just think that there is a statement that's being made, and that is say anything and do anything to get elected. And I don't think that we can afford that in this county.
That concludes the portion where the candidates will ask each other questions. Now I'm going to ask questions of the candidates that were submitted by the audience. First question is for Ms. Levine Cava. Public safety. How important to our county budget is it? In your opinion, why? 3 minutes.
There's nothing more fundamental than safety. And what we know about the residents of District 8 is that they're very concerned about their safety. You know, here in Cutler Bay, we have a special contract with the county for police service, the same in Palmetto Bay. Homestead has its own police force. There's the unincorporated parts of the county that rely on Miami-Dade County Police Department. And for so many people, they feel supported by the law enforcement. In Redland, for example, the Ag Patrol, which is really necessary in those open spaces, and there's a lot of crime in Redland, that was reduced recently to eliminate the 12 to 7 a.m. shift. That was not met happily by the residents of Redland. When I talk to people, they don't feel that they're getting the service that they need, even in the communities of Cutler Bay and Palmetto Bay. They're worried. They're worried about robberies. They're worried about safety on the street. They're worried about their children's safety. It's fundamental. Safety is fundamental. So, you know, trying to balance the budget on the backs of our law enforcement personnel when the public is crying out for more service and more protection just seems very short-sighted. And there has been a trend, fortunately, around the country to reduce crime overall, but Miami-Dade's crime has not come down at the same rate as other places. We're very vulnerable here. We can't afford to cut our safety services. Right now, with the proposals in hand, we're eliminating some of the special units. We're going to have to assign people from those units to the street patrols. That means we'll be eliminating child abuse investigation, sexual trafficking investigation. Has child abuse gone away? Has sexual trafficking gone away? Quite the opposite. Those needs have increased exponentially. And just when we need to have that kind of expertise, that's what we're doing. We're pulling those experts and putting them on the street to fill in the holes because we haven't been able to fill our ranks, fill those empty positions. We've not trained new police officers. We recently had one academy, but that was after a 2-year hiatus. So what are we doing? What's our long-range planning here? What I hear in the community is people want more police protection, not less, and the solution is not to cut our police officers. Thank you.
Read the question over for both candidates. Public safety. How important to our county budget is it? And in your opinion, why?
It's extremely important. Let me tell you, we have the finest first responders anywhere to be found. The finest. And my concerns about payroll and my concerns about pay supplements and extra benefits has nothing to do with the quality of the officers that I see on our streets. And I may not be hearing the same thing as Ms. Levine, because I'm hearing that people praise our police officers. They think they get it. They think they have great first responders. They praise them, not the opposite. And let me tell you, back in January, when we had that vote on the 5% give back to the unions that were paying 5% towards the contribution towards their health care, I voted against giving that back because that created a $63 million hole, because I didn't want to see anybody laid off, because I did not want to see one less first responder on the street. That's why I took that action. We didn't have the money. We kept the taxes flat and we didn't have the funds. So that was not an action against police officers. That was an action on behalf of fiscal sanity. I have 2 police officers in my family, and I have 2 firefighters in my family. It is not lost on me the sacrifice that's made. But let me tell you, I have a son-in-law who's also in the military. He's in the Army, and he makes a sacrifice. He spent a year in Iraq, and he makes a fraction of what we pay our first responders. I don't begrudge them their pay. I'm not, because someone said you want to touch my pay. I'm not begrudge anybody their pay. What's happened is that the concessions, is the snapbacks that are getting ready to come back equal $113 million, and that's from the general fund budget alone. That we pay out 187 different forms of supplemental pay. We pay people just to show up to work. We pay people to not work. They're called full-time releases. And we pay, while the unions collect the dues, the taxpayer pays for them to not work. We bank the overtime that gets added on top of the pension. We pay people overtime while they're on vacation. We pay them overtime to be sick. We have transit worker unions. The transit workers, we're paying 3 people to do 1 shift of 1 person because of union rules. We have dozens of full-time releases. That's the stuff I'm willing to be courageous enough to talk about. It's not anti-officer, it's not anti-firefighter, it's not anti-employee, it's fiscal sanity. These have grown and grown and grown and grown over the years. That has become out of control. And here's the problem. When you have only a certain pot of money, and I know my opponent's answer is to raise the taxes, but I'm not going to do it. People are still struggling. And the only way to give more money is to raise the taxes, and I'm not going to do that. Thank you.
The next question is also for Ms. Bell. We're going to flip-flop order. This is a long one. Sometimes in today's political climate, a certain segment of the population invariably feels unrepresented and ignored by their elected politicians and public servants. If you were elected, what steps would you take to ensure that residents who did not vote for you still retain a vote within politics, a voice within politics?
Thank you. Great question. When I'm re-elected and I sit down and take my seat again, when people call for help, I don't ask them, did you vote for me? Did you not vote for me? I know this has become a partisan race, not at my request, by the way, because I serve in a nonpartisan manner. When people call me and need help, I don't ask them what party they are. I don't ask them if they're Democrat, Republican, or Independent. I don't think potholes have an R or a D after the hole. I take care of the needs of the people. And let me tell you, I know there's people sitting in this room who will vote for me. I know there's people sitting in this room who will not vote for me. I will still fight for you. I will fight for you in Cutler Bay. I will fight for you in County Hall, just like I have been doing for the past 4 years, and solving problems. I will continue to have my late night office hours for those of you that can't make it before the typical closing time, and I will continue to be your advocate in Miami-Dade County, because that's what I do well, because I care about my constituents. I care about everybody, from all the way down in Homestead, all the way up to the northern tip of this district. And I'm so excited to continue that record of public service that I have established, that is well documented and well qualified. You know, it's so easy to be a candidate and sit there and throw stones without taking a look at one's public record and what one's done. I have helped so many people, and I hear from them on a daily basis, and that's so gratifying that when I hear their stories about how I've helped them. whether it was through advocating for them on a code enforcement issue, or the fact that they got a citation because they didn't re-register their dog while the dog had passed away. These are things we fix every day. Or they bought a foreclosed property and they're hitting a wall when it comes to code enforcement and the liens. We help those people. We help people every single day, and I'm proud of my record of public service, and I will continue that very same record of public service. So whether you vote for me or not, you call my office and I'm going to be there, and I'm going to fight for you, and I'm going to advocate for you.
In today's political climate, a certain segment of the population feels unrepresented and ignored by their elected politicians. If you were elected, what steps would you take to ensure that residents who did not vote for you still retain a voice within politics?
My whole life has been about engagement of people of every sort, and I've worked with every possible population throughout my career, and starting from when I was a child. There's a great phrase, nothing about me without me. And so much of what passes for government is actually dictating to people and not listening to people. There have to be real processes in place to listen to people, and not just people who have money and not just people who have power to get access. There need to be participatory processes, regular meetings in the community, ongoing surveying, door-to-door, opportunities to weigh in, not just, again, at election time, but throughout the entire tenure of one's term in office. My representation has gone to people who are mentally ill, people who are homeless, immigrants with or without legal documentation, people of every sexual orientation, every ethnicity, every race, every nationality. That's what I've always done, and that's what I'll do as an elected official. Everybody is represented by the elected official, not just those who are qualified to vote. I've already talked to young people about coming in and learning about county government through internships and opportunities to participate through their schools, through their clubs. I'm part of Tomorrow's South Dade, which is looking at the future of our economy and our society in South Dade. And I'm participating in the leadership development group because of how much I care to develop the future civic leaders. And that's what I've done in developing leadership programs for immigrants and others, children, adults, seniors of all ages. That's really my legacy. So it'll be my pleasure to have the opportunity to take that participatory style into government. Actually, I've worked so hard to help people become active in government, and they go downtown and the doors are closed in their faces. They feel disrespected, dishonored, and disregarded. And so my goal is to turn that around, and with that we'll restore trust in government, because people will once again see that government is by the people and for the people.
The next question. How do you respond to the contention that the county commissioners are too influenced by those who contribute large amounts of money to campaigns, thereby causing citizens to lose faith in their government?
Thank you for that question. I'm running a campaign very much to remedy that situation, and we have a 3-point plan to end corruption in our government. Number 1, we can prohibit those that do business with the county from contributing financially to campaigns. It's working in Palmetto Bay, it's working in Miami Beach, it's working in Aventura. Why can't we do it in Miami-Dade County? It would be a game changer, because we all know that the cost of doing business is driving up the costs of those contracts, because businesses have to hire lobbyists, because that's the way things are done. Procurement is the main business of County Commission today. And we also know that it means that those are the people that get the attention. We spent 3 months talking about where stadiums should be located instead of how we're going to address our library crisis or our needs for police and fire protection. The second thing we can do is create greater transparency. We don't have rules right now that allow people to fully understand who's contributing to these campaigns. There's not only money goes straight to the campaign, but there's political committees and ECOs and ECOs and so on. So what we need is we need something that will have full transparency for all those sources and limits for all of them. And third, we can increase our conflict law. It's really inexcusable that when there's a matter before the commission that could benefit a family member of an elected or a business partner of an elected, that it's not required to be revealed, and that person reveal it in writing ahead of time and make sure that the public is aware. Recently, my opponent stated that she would have recused herself in the matter of the $5 million to be given to Mr. Wayne Rosen, one of her top contributors. Well, you know, for full transparency, if that was her intention, which seems unlikely given that she was sponsoring the item, she would have revealed that ahead of time. She would have made it clear that she couldn't sponsor the item because of the potential conflict or the appearance of conflict in matters such as that. So all three of those things are essential, as the question states, to restore confidence in a sense that it's an equal playing field and that our government is not for sale, that our county is not available to the highest bidder, but that it's really here for the people and their needs. Thank you.
How do you respond to the contention that the county commissioners are too influenced by those who contribute large amounts of money to campaigns, thereby causing citizens to lose faith in their government?
What my opponent just said is nothing but a big smokescreen. The biggest special interest in this county are the unions and the negotiations in their contracts. She's not going to talk about the well over $100,000 that are coming from unions to go into her ecos and her PACs. And so she's talking about disclosure while they're taking the money. Hypocrisy. 9 bargaining units, 9. And every one of them are funneling money to my opponent. Why? Because those dollars that are in those contracts, not the pay, my friends, but I'm talking the supplementals and the extra, the flex pay, the premium pay, the holiday premium pay, the bonuses, the full-time releases, and 187 different forms of supplemental pay, and getting paid a bonus to be a first responder while you're being hired to be a first responder, and on and on and on. And she said lobbyists. Now, I know this is interesting because we talked about people who do business with the county who are the businesses, but you didn't mention the lobbyists. And I think it's because you took a lot of money from lobbyists too, so that was convenient to be left out of that. Now also, lobbyist fees are driving up the cost of contracts? Really? It's so interesting. Let me tell you what happens. We are the most far removed from this process. RFP, RFQ, RFI, request for proposal, request for contract, request for information, those all go to staff. It's very heavy staff intensive. We're the last person that sees it, and there's 13 of us. So the possibility of corruption is generally with staff, which is why I passed ethics reform and legislation that requires every single county employee to undergo ethics training, and then have a review of that every 2 years, including us as well. So I took care of that issue with ethics reform, and not just the rich. Well, I don't know about you, but I know many people who can have a house on Geronimo and Coral Gables and buy another house on Palmetto Bay. So what you're saying is if you want to eliminate those monies that come into candidates, then only rich people like my opponent could run for office. Because I'm not rich. I'm just a middle-class person like everybody else out there, like anybody else there. So, you know, that is just a smokescreen. And I have been, you know, the whole Wayne Rosen issue is also a smokescreen. And if anybody watched Graffiti, they know the truth on that. And by the way, you did a cut and paste on an email blast today and said I said something I didn't say by cutting and pasting. It's a lie. It's another ad with another lie. You need to take a look at that. She said that I recanted on one of the ads from the ECO, and I did not. She cut and pasted an answer. That's very deceptive. Let me tell you, I am going to work again for every single member of this county. Transparency, ethics, real reform, and that's what I've done, that's what I'm going to continue. Smoke screens are there. Thank you.
Final question. Why is parcel B being given for free to build another Cuban museum on valuable waterfront property that was promised to be a park? And there are 2 other Cuban museums.
No, actually, there aren't any other Cuban museums. There's different types of museums, but they're not Cuban museums. Parcel B, it's interesting that you say that because Parcel B has been sitting there for years and years and years, fenced off, unattractive, it already blocks the water, and it's not all of Parcel B. And actually, I'm the one who voted against all the stadium deals, and I'm the one who said, well, if we're going to preserve Parcel B for the Miami Heat and for the American Airlines Arena, if I'm going to preserve that for their staging, let them pay for it. Let them pay for it. What the proposal is, by the way, there's a 3-acre site and a linear area of about 1 acre. So you're talking almost 4 acres. And the proposal is to use up to 1 acre with all of their own expense to create that and create a museum park and actually create a park as well. So they would be putting the money not only into the museum, if they get the money, because they have to fund it 100% on their own. And by the way, we have all kinds of museums that have the very same arrangement, the very same agreement. We have the Perez Museum, we have Museum Park right there in downtown. It's funny because I never heard any complaints when it was going to be these other museums. I only heard the complaints when it was going to be the Cuban Museum, and I thought that was really interesting because there were so many of the museums that were being constructed with no problem and with no issue. And when you have excess land or county land, and by the way, an injection of private cash is always a good thing. Other people's money is a good thing. If they want to come in and make a beautiful park, a passive park, and make that eyesore, what it is now is an eyesore, and just use for staging for the American Airlines Arena and for the people that own the Miami Heat, let's let them pay for it then. And I've been adamant about that. Thank you.
Why is Parcel B being given for free to build another Cuban museum on valuable waterfront property that was promised to be a park? And there are 2 other Cuban museums.
I have never seen a decision for a major giveaway made so quickly at the county commission. There was no economic study, there was no alternative reviewed, there was a quick disregard of the efforts that had been made to build a parkland just when we're on the verge of creating a magnificent park in downtown. Recently I had the opportunity to walk through some of the park further south along that corridor. There were hundreds of families and children and dogs enjoying a beautiful summer evening. This is what's going to make our downtown great, and this is what is going to lure people to the city. We have a new group of people living in those high-rises. They're fighting vigorously to preserve that parkland. As a county, we have inadequate park space. So anything that we do to erect buildings in the remaining public space is really a violation of the trust to the public. In fact, people don't even know the possibility because they're so used to not having public space in downtown. And thank goodness we have a new group of advocates who are being vigilant because they live there and they want to be able to utilize that as well as making it a place that attracts visitors to a beautiful downtown area. So the Cuban heritage in this community is unique, it's special, something that we all do honor, and we definitely want to fulfill the dreams of those that want to create a larger historical legacy. There are many, many locations that would be suitable to that museum, and I think it's time that we get on with thinking about it and keep our park space and public space for the public's enjoyment.
That concludes the section of the forum regarding questions from the audience. We will now give the candidates each 5 minutes to summarize and conclude. Ms. Levine Cava.
Running for office is one of the highest obligations that any citizen can have, and it's been a tremendous pleasure and honor for me to do so. The last 7 months of this campaign have been joyous, meeting people in their neighborhoods, talking to people at the doors, attending public forums. How fortunate am I to have the opportunity to do this? And I've done it with the support of the thousands of people who I've come to know during my 30-plus years of service in Miami-Dade County, as well as with the support of incredible new friends. Being supported on the campaign trail by our public workforce, the police and firefighters, the county employees, the teachers, the librarians, the Pets Trust, those that are fighting for our environment, those that are concerned about public transit. The list goes on and on. And to receive the Miami Herald's endorsement last week was truly the crown of achievement for me, and recognition for a lifetime of service, and recognition that I could be the voice for change. I've been told by many on this campaign trail that I bring people hope. Truly, that's what it's about. We live in the United States of America. We live in a country where so many think we're going in the wrong direction. And we live in a community that has so many incredible assets and so much distrust for how decisions are made at the county level. We have over a $6 billion budget. We have over 2.6 million residents. We have open spaces, we have economic opportunities, we have great colleges and institutions, and yet people don't feel, particularly in District 8, that decisions are being made in their interests. Every day, I am buoyed up by the confidence and the enthusiasm by these great residents of Miami-Dade County, by these wonderful organizations and individuals that are supporting me. We're running a grassroots campaign. We've had over 2,000 donations, an average size of in the range of $150 each. That's extraordinary to still be able to raise enough money to run what is no longer just a viable campaign, but a formidable campaign. We are 3 weeks away from victory in this race, and I stand so in awe of the possibility for what can be achieved. I know I'll be just one of 13. I know that I have to build coalition politics at the County Commission, and that's what I've been doing my entire life. I'm known as a bridge builder. I've received numerous recognitions and awards. My work has been heralded as ethical by groups including the County Commission on Ethics. Truly, for me, it's humbling to serve as the servant leader to help bring restored confidence in government, to turn around pay-to-play politics, to restore our government to one that is truly led by people and people's voices. Unfortunately, during this campaign, there have also been some very troubling and negative moments. There's been an attempt to denigrate my record of service, to deceive the public about what I've done, throwing up smoke screens about how much money I made at my nonprofit, diverting concerns about the community to issues that are bogus ones that people are not focusing on, like how do we lead this community forward. So I stand before you humbly, ready to lead. I ask for your support. I ask you to ferret out the truth, to help spread the word to your neighbors, to your family members, to your co-workers, that change is possible. Change is around the corner. Though I'm just one of 13, it will be the beginning of a taking back of government and ridding ourselves of the corruption, the corrosive nature of money that has interfered with the true connection between people and their elected officials. Thank you for your support.
Thank you, and welcome to all the county employees that are in the room. I recognize a lot of you. And I know, I've seen you. I'm proud of it too. I'm proud of all the county employees. You know, when I take a stand on excessive benefits and when I talk about that, it's to save jobs. It's to put more people in the streets, not less. It's to be part of a community that says, what more can we do? When we only have a certain pot of money and a great percentage of it goes to benefits far above and exceeding pay, that's fewer people in the streets. That's fewer employees, not less. And I'm fighting for more, and I'm not fighting for less, especially in our first responders. My opponent talks about pay to play, and you take a look at the money. Okay, I have thousands of contributions from $10 and $25 and $50. That's not the point. And you know, when we talk about, and I've listened to my opponent, she's talking about her legacy, she's talking about all the things she's done, she's talking about the awards and this. That's great. I've received many awards, I've done many things, but guess what, folks? It's not about me. It's never been about me, it's about you. It's about each and every one of you in District 8. It's about each and every one of you in Dade County. And you know what? I'm glad you mentioned the internship program, because we have a fabulous internship program in our office. And we are mentoring the youth for the youth to be the youth of tomorrow. And you know what? I just, as I was sitting there listening to the whole discussion on parks and museums, you know, we passed legislation that predates me to put a museum on that property. And did you know that? And it was read publicly, so that even predates me. And you know, to say that we don't have enough parks in this county, we have a beautiful, beautiful park system that is award-winning park system. It receives so many accolades, and congratulations to Jack Carter's of Parks. It receives, I think my opponent is confusing the city of Miami with Miami-Dade County, because the city of Miami certainly does have a bit of a shortage of parks, but not Miami-Dade County. We are beautifully replete with beautiful parks, and I have to say, South Dade, District 8 is the beneficiary of some of the most beautiful parks. And we have invested millions and millions of dollars into our parks. When you look at it, you go on Old Cutler Road and you see those beautiful improvements on Old Cutler Road. I partnered with the town of Cutler Bay to make sure that that was done and to make sure that the funding was in place. When the residents, especially the seniors, said, Commissioner, we need a bus, we need a bus, we need a bus. I said, you will have your bus. You will have the bus, and it will be designed for you, and it was. And I partnered with Mayor McDougal, I partnered with this great town of Cutler Bay, and we partnered with and we produced the Cutler Local. That was on our watch. And you know what? I have to tell you, when I take a look at my 4 years, I'm proud. I'm proud of my residents. I'm proud of my family, who has to take so much abuse, who has to take abuse on their jobs, my grandchildren who get picked on blogs. It can be very ugly. And I find it appalling when my opponent talks about an ad that's a third-party ad, but it tells the truth. She may not like the way it was done, she tells the truth. And then she puts out an ad accusing me of poisoning children. So you know, you live in glass houses, you can't throw stones. This is the kind of nonsense that's been coming out, lie after lie. The lie that I raised transit fees on the disabled. I voted to raise transit fees. That never happened. That vote never took place. Another lie, that I voted for on and on and on. Those votes never took place. This is the kind of nonsense that people are sick of. You can't lie your way into office, move your way into office, buy your way into office, change your name on your way into office to get yourself into office. My friends, the end does not justify the means. I have served honorably these past 4 years, and I'm so proud of my record of public service, because like I said, it's not about me, it's about you. It's about meeting and exceeding your needs and your expectations, and I take it very seriously, and I value each and every one of you. I thank you very much for this time here. Mr. Sarzecki, thank you very much. Concerned citizens of Cutler Bay, thank you very much. Everybody here in this audience, those of you who live here, those of you who don't, thank you very much for coming tonight. We appreciate you very much, and may God bless you all.
Thank you all for coming. We encourage you to take the time with the permission of the candidates, to come up and individually talk to them, not only Ms. Bell and Ms. Levine Cava, but all the candidates that are here in the audience. And again, thank you so much.